All right, so today what we are going to be doing is starting a cord weaving. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to put our plate upside down so you're seeing the back of the plate. And what we are going to do is we are going to start by making a mark at north and south. So we're going to go up here, make a mark there, and then we're going to come across the plate and make another one. I'm not measuring, it's not going to be exact, but that'll be just fine. We're going to turn our plate then. And now our north and south have become east and west. We're going to make another north and south. All right. The next thing that we are going to do is we are going to switch to a different marker. And you are going to split each of these sections again. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn our plate. And we're going to find kind of the middle between those two red marks. And we're going to make another one. This time we're going to make it a little bit longer, just so that we can see the difference in the color and in the length. And the next thing that we are going to do is we're going to switch markers one more time. And you are going to split each of these sections one last time. So we're going to draw a little line here. All right, now we have our lines going all the way around our plate. The next thing we're going to do is in the middle of our plate, we are going to make an X. And it doesn't matter what color you do that with. The next step is going to be to draw a couple of arrows. So the first one is going to point to the right. The second one we draw is going to point to the left. And you'll notice that these arrows are, when we rotate our plate, they're going to continue to point those same directions. So now they're still pointing right and left, even if I rotate my plate. So they're going in a circle. And that's going to be really helpful for us once we start weaving. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to take a pair of scissors and we are going to cut each of the little marks that we made around the outside of the plate. So we're just going to cut a little ways, not very far. All right, and back to where I started. Now, the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to fold our plate, and when we fold our plate, we are going to make a little bit of a cut on that middle X. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our plate, and I'm going to just carefully fold it. You might hear it make a little bit of crackling noise. And when we fold it, we're going to see that X kind of on the side there. Now when your plate is folded, you're going to be cutting both sides at the same time, so you can actually just cut a little bit of that V. Do you see that little V that we're cutting? I'm going to cut just a little there, and I'm going to cut a little here. Now when I open it up, my X isn't going to perfectly match where my marker lines were, but it'll be pretty close, and that'll be just fine to hold our strings later on. Now my loom is all set. The last thing that I need to do is grab a pencil and write my name on it so that we can share these in the future. So we're going to grab a pencil and write our name on the back of the loom. After you have done that, what we are going to do is we're going to start with the string. The next thing that we are going to do is we are going to take the ends of our string where you are pinching the 4 ends of your white string and the 4 ends of your colored string and wrap it around your hand so it makes a circle. Next, we are going to make sure that they cross at the end of the circle. Once you have it around and crossed, we are going to take the little ends that are in your fingers and we are going to put them inside of the circle. Then we will slowly start to pull tight. When we pull, we want to try and make the knot as close to the end as we can. You don't want your knot to come off of the end of your strings, but you do want it close to the end. Next, we will put our string through our plate. Make sure that you are looking at the back of your plate, and then take your knot and line it up to the X in the middle of your plate. Take your end with the short little strings and you are going to set it right on top of the X. Use your thumb to push it through the middle of the X so that it pops down through the bottom side. We are going to leave the long strings hanging out this side because those are the strings that we are going to be using to weave. You will know that you are ready when the back side shows the knot and the front has all of the long strings as well as your lines and arrows. The next thing that we are going to do is we are going to take our strings and we are going to make a couple of triangles with them. First, I will take 2 colored strings and I will put them into 2 of the little cuts that are very close to each other. These should be the ones that are right next to each other. Don't leave any space between them. Make sure that yours matches what I am showing on the screen. The next thing we are going to do is take the other 2 strings that match and we will pull them across the circle to make another triangle. In the end, this will look like the letter X. You will see that my 4 strings now make the letter X across my plate. Next, we will follow these same steps with the other 4 strings that we have on our plate. These ones will go across from each other the opposite way. Remember that they need to go into 2 of the slits that are right next to each other. You should have 2 X's that cross in the middle if yours is set up correctly. All right, so when you're ready to start weaving, you should have 2 X's across from each other, one right here, and then you're going to have 1 X that's crossing the opposite way. When we start, we're going to remember a poem, and the poem is left, so I'm going to go to my left side, to the top, so I'm going to pull this string out, I'm going to put it back in at the top, and we always are going to put it in at the one closest to the ones that are matching that color, okay? So we're going to stick it in this red one. And then we're going to go right to the bottom. So I'm going to, again, take out the right side of that colored one because I'm using the colored strings right now. And I'm going to put it in on the right side. I never cross over to the other side. Always keep it on the same side. And then the last part of the poem is turn it the way the arrows face. So we're going to turn our plate the way the arrows are pointing. And then we're going to start again. And this time we're going to do the white strings. So we're going to do left to the top. And again, remember, I only cross those colored strings. I don't cross any white strings. And then we're going to do right to the bottom, same thing. I only cross these colored strings, cross, and I don't cross a white one, so I put it in the bottom. Turn it the way the arrows face, and there we go. And I'm going to keep going, left to the top. Stick it in. Sometimes they are a little hard to get in. There we go. Right to the bottom. Turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom. Turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, and right to the bottom. Turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom. Turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, and turn it the way the arrows face. And now you're going to see that it's kind of popping up here in the middle. And that means that it's time for me to pull it down through. And this is a really cool weaving because as you get done, the weaving doesn't stay on top of the plate. It actually is going to start to come out the bottom. And you can see where I'm starting to get kind of a spiral pattern going. And that's what's going to continue to happen all the way through. So I'm going to keep getting a spiral forming. So I'm going to keep on going, and when I flip back over here, now I can tell where I left off because the white one is on top. So I know that I need to do colored next. So I'm going to do color, left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows faced. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. Left to the top, right to the bottom, turn it the way the arrows face. And you're going to notice as we keep going that if you're standing up, it's going to keep these strings really nice. They should all stay separated out like this. And if you are sitting down, sometimes they will get tangled. And the best way if you get them tangled is to kind of turn it on its side and comb them out loosely. We don't want to pull tightly on them or they are going to stay tangled. So again, now I flip back down to my tap. If I can't remember what color I just did, I can look here and I see the white string is on top. That means that it's time to do colored. So I keep going, left to the top, right to the bottom, and turn it the way the arrows face. Now, when we get done with class, what we're going to do to stop is we are going to turn this, so I had my colored ones on top, and the way we stop is I'm going to say left to the top and stop. So we just did a colored one, time to do white. I'm going to do a left to the top, and we're going to stop there. This is called a witch's broom, so we've got 3 going out there and just 1 down here. The only time you're ever at a witch's broom is when you do your left to the top. So now we know next time when we pick up, it's time to pick up with a right to the bottom, and then we'll be all set to go again. So there you have it. That is a cord weaving.